Well, welcome back to our Friday night seminar. We do this every other Friday night, 6 p.m. When you guys see this first opening video here, there'll be one the second Friday after you see the video. For all you guys, it'll be 2 weeks from now. We always do them free. We always do them right here at Lake Fork Marina. Got the whole upstairs room to ourselves. Plenty of seating for everybody.
Lake Fork Feminar.
Great restaurant next door. So if you want to get some good food, they do a good job there.
Prime rib on Friday night.
We'll get into why I have to silence my phone here in a minute. First, let's take care of some business because Lake Fork Marina does such a great job in letting us use their facility here and hosting for us, and they never ask anything in return. And they've got a, it's funny, the one time they do ask for something in return, it's for somebody else. It's not for them. That's just the kind of people that own and operate this facility here. But Lake Fork Marina is doing a raffle. They're giving away, what was it, like a barbecue pit, a cooker?
It's a cooker and a big tackle pack. A
cooker and all the accessories that go with the cooker and a bunch of fishing gear.
They've actually got it all written down right there.
That's not what it says here.
There's 2 pages.
2 drawings. Tackle package. So there's 2 drawings in the raffle. One is all the fishing gear, just a whole bunch of fishing gear. And the other one is the grill and the accessories.
Yep.
So that's the 2 drawings. And it's to benefit the Good Samaritan Mission in San Marcos de Colon, Honduras. You might read that in your Falcon accent right there.
It's San Marcos de Colon, Honduras. Tickets are $5 or 5 for 20.
$5 or 5 for 20. So there you go.
Pretty good deal.
Y'all come support Lake Fork Marina if you're watching on video. You guys, if y'all are here, man, go down there and get you some of that. These are good people helping others out. That's what they do. Now, let's discuss briefly why I have to silence my phone right now.
Yeah, explain that to us. And then explain why and why someone would make you have to silence your phone. So explain the whole deal.
So there's a little bit of a prank war that's been going on. I don't know how many here in the audience have seen some of the pranks going back and forth. Pretty much all of them. So you guys are all going to know this, but I'm going to walk through it for the folks out there.
Jeff's just hoping he doesn't get thrown in the middle of it.
Yeah. Our buddy Jeff Partridge is right here. He's praying his boat's not next.
Yeah.
So we started a prank. Actually, I started it. I engaged. I initiated, so I can't complain. I pulled up to the ramp one day, and Ronnie had left his boat there while he was doing something in town, and Jeff actually was there.
Yeah, he was supposed to be on guard duty.
He was supposed to be fire watch.
Job of it.
He was supposed to be fire watch, and I pulled up and said, "Jeff, that's Ronnie's boat, right?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "You got some zip ties?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Go get them." And so we, long story short, basically we zip tied his rod straps where he couldn't unbuckle his rods and get those out. We tied together the latches on his compartments where they open like this, but they were tied together so he couldn't open his compartments. Then we tied all the rods together on the ends of them, so as they're laying there and all the ends are kind of laying together at the end, you go to pick up a rod and all 5 of them come off the deck.
And Jeff, I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed. I mean,
so that was prank number 1. Then prank number 2, Ronnie comes back, and at one of the marinas over here, we all beach our boats on the bank, and I go up there and I sit down in the restaurant, and this restaurant overlooks the lake right there where everybody's boats are parked. And literally, as I'm sitting down, one of the waitresses goes, "Hey, whose boat is he getting in?" And I look, and my boat's just driving off. Somebody's driving my boat off the bank. And I'm like, "Who's stealing my?" And then I see the boat next to it, and it's this guy's boat. He took my boat and parked it in the middle of the lake and just left it there.
Yep, with spot lock on. With the old trick.
He did have the common courtesy to turn the spot lock on. Yep. So when I got out of lunch, I had to wait for this knucklehead to take me to my boat. Prank number 3. This guy hates.
This is the worst. This is the worst one. So
he hates getting his hands nasty.
I hate it.
Like it's a thing with him. It's a real thing.
I carry Dawn dish detergent in my boat and clean my hands all day.
So I took catfish bait, stink bait, and got it on the inside of his door handle. So when he got back at the ramp that day and he went to open up his door to back his truck down, when he grabbed his door handle, he got a handful of catfish bait.
And on my crank.
That was my customer. I didn't do that, but yeah. Yeah, we got him on his boat crank too, so he thought the prank was over. Then he goes to winch his boat up and he goes, "Ah!"
Yeah.
Yeah. So today, long story there, sorry about that. But today, I started getting phone calls. And people were asking me about a monkey. And the first one kind of threw me a little bit. I was like, what are you talking about, a monkey? But then I remembered a story that this guy told me about a prank he pulled on somebody years ago.
Yeah.
Where he put an ad on Craigslist that somebody was giving away a spider monkey. So what this guy did, tell him what you did.
So I'll read you. So we got on Craigslist and it lists spider monkey Lake Fork area. It says and if you guys can see this, I don't know if they can see it on there, but you'll see it's a great little picture of a pet spider monkey kind of at home, you know, just nestled, somebody holding it with a Cowboys hoodie. Just perfect, you know. It says, spider monkey in need of a good home. Great pet, clean, good manners. Started a new job and I don't have the time to socialize with him like he needs. I'll pay $500 plus all of his belongings to get him comfortable with a new family. His name is Cowboy.
Call. And then he put
Serious inquiries only taking phone calls, no text. And then we put his phone number.
And then he put my phone number on there. So all day today, I've literally gotten phone calls.
Up until 5 minutes ago.
I just got one right before, like all the audience back here. Did it not happen? Say yes.
Oh, yeah.
I just got to find. I've been getting them all day. People wanting this spider monkey, and I just have to answer the phone, and I'm like, no, that's my buddy pranking you. Sorry. The worst one was, it's been several hours ago now, but I was on the water, and a guy called me, or a woman called me, and she was asking me about the monkey, and I told her, I'm sorry, we wasted your time. It's a prank. My buddy set it up so that people would call me, and I didn't know what was going on. And explained it to her, and she was kind of giggling about it. But then he goes, okay, well, thank you anyway. And her kid in the background goes, can we get it? And she goes, no, it was a prank. And the kid just starts bawling. The kid just loses it. And I was like, oh, no.
Dude. That kid's going to grow up to be a liberal. 100%. That kid.
Well, maybe not. Come from the lesson that Captain Ron taught me today.
From Cowboy. So now it's on you. And I got my back. I'm watching my back. I've got the next one, though. So
after I respond, you already got your next response lined up?
Dude, hey, I had somebody that watches all this stuff that called me.
You getting help?
I'm not getting help, dude.
Folks, I need some help. Give me some good pranks.
I'm getting phone calls, texts, everything. So I appreciate all the help.
I need some help. Y'all need to help me. Help a brother out. I'm out here fighting and
yeah, you need some help. Yeah, you need some help. For sure. So,
well,
we're going to talk about fishing?
Let's talk about fishing. I saw we got distracted for the first 10 minutes there, but all in good fun. All in good fun. It's been an interesting couple weeks for sure with these pranks going on. So Captain Ron's here tonight, old Ronnie Kelly. Used to get out here for a long time. Then he left for a little bit. Now he's back. Been back for several months now, doing his thing. You've been catching a lot of big fish.
We've been catching a lot of big fish.
A lot of big fish.
Unfortunately, I've been catching a lot of big fish. And I know people are seeing it on Face Page and the Instagram. It's not intentional.
By the way, Captain Ron Big Bass on Instagram.
Captain Ron Big Bass.
What is on Facebook?
Captain Ron's Guide Service on Face Page.
There you go.
On business Face Page. So I'll talk to you guys a little bit about how I've been catching the fish. Now I've been bed fishing. We're both bed fishing. This is like the sight fishing guru. I will say Billy has impressed me a lot with his sight fishing skills. The dude's really good in sight fishing, and I'm not as much of a sight fisherman, and
I'm really not good. I'm just so obsessed really with it that I keep going till they bite.
He's not humble, so I don't want to say that, but he is good. He's trying to be humble. Sit down, be humble.
That's right.
You know, and I need to borrow those glasses, by the way. You told me.
I got them on the truck.
Let's Tuesday.
By the way, best sight fishing glasses I've ever used. Amphibia, the Baja lens.
I just need to make sure.
They're a little dirty right now for that pollen today.
So yeah, Tuesday we're bed fishing, and I'm looking, and my customer goes, "Oh, look at that one," and I'm like, I got nothing.
You didn't see it?
I didn't see it. And he saw it, and he goes, "Dude, look at that. It's a good one." I'm like, I got nothing. So we switched glasses. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So that's when I called you, and I'm like, we got to do something about this. So, but anyways, I'm bed fishing. So I'm just bed fishing with a frog, and everybody knows I like to throw a frog. And I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about a couple.
Time out. Let's just make sure everybody heard what you just said, because he said it real fast. You just said you're bed fishing with a frog?
I'm bed fishing with a frog.
Okay.
So I'm bed fishing with a frog. I'm fishing areas that I know are holding bedding fish, spawning fish. And when I say I'm bed fishing, there's really three parts to bed fishing. There's fish coming, fish on beds, and fish leaving beds, right? So I'm fishing all three of those stages at once. I'm gonna talk about two different baits tonight. There's a few more things I'm doing. I'll save it. I'm gonna save something 2 weeks. I caught one almost 10 today on something a little different. But I caught an 8-pounder this morning, about an 8.5 or so, this morning on a frog. And I've been catching almost an 8 or 2. We've been catching at least almost at least 1 to 2 fish 8 pounds or bigger a day on a frog. And so what I'm doing is I'm going into my frog fishing or my spawning areas that are a little bit dirtier. The real clear areas, let's say Eugene's Ditch, some of that stuff, what I call the West Bank, which is straight across from Oak Ridge. A lot of you
Just
guys
generally
watching.
the south end where the
The
water.
south end where the water's a little clearer, I'm throwing a frog, but I'm also throwing a little chugger. And the one I'm throwing is made by 6 Cents. It's a really small, translucent type popper.
The Splashback 70.
It's the Splashback 70, and it's great. But I think kind of any chugger, popper, Yellow Magic, any type bait like that's going to be really good. But on the frog, I'm fishing beds. And what happens is a lot of times you'll hear people talking about flukes, wacky worms, things like that. And those fish may bite that. And there's a good chance they'll bite that. And you blind cast. You know, you go to an area, back of a pocket or a point that you know's got bedfish in it, and you blind cast. And I'm doing the same thing with a frog. The difference is, and I won't be able to show you guys this tonight, I don't work my frog like y'all. I can just tell you, and Billy will probably tell you the same thing. I don't work my frog like you guys. My goal on my frog is to make the most action with the least movement. So my goal is, everybody knows what walking the dog is.
We've talked about this before. For those of you guys that have followed for a while, movement without movement is a big deal for big bass. What he's saying is he's making that frog move without moving.
Yeah. And so it's like a jerk bait. You've heard people tell you to twitch a jerk bait, but don't pull a jerk bait. It's the same thing with the frog. So I've got a lot of slack in my line. And I'm throwing my frog, and I'm making it spit and sputter. And, you know, on the mouth of these frogs, I'm throwing a popping frog, a spro popping frog. And, you know, the mouth is red on all of them, right? My goal is when I quit popping it to not see red. I don't want to see the red part of that frog. Every time I twitch that frog and I stop, I don't want to see that red. If I see that red, I'll twitch it again. And that way, that mouth, when I'm done, that mouth is either turned to one side or the other or all the way around. And it's a really big deal. And I'm going to tell you guys a quick story. I'm going to tell this quick story, and I won't be long. I want to tell you about the best,
Take all the time you want.
worst day I've ever had of fishing. And I hope the guy that was with me watches this. He's from Illinois, and he's a big fan of the YouTube channel. And I've told you about this probably too many times now. You've probably seen this movie a couple times.
I've seen this movie.
So I've got an area that there's some big fish, some big frogfish. They're spawning in this grass. And I tell these guys, I got a dad who's my age, 35. He's got his 11 or 12-year-old son, and then his dad who's in his 70s. And I got 3 people on the boat, which I hate having 3 people on the boat. And I've got 2 really novice fishermen. The son has been throwing a bait caster for 2 weeks, and the dad hasn't been throwing one very long, and he's just not that efficient, and he really doesn't care, to be honest with you. He just was back here to spend time. And so they're from Illinois, and they're fishing with me. Well, the dude up front, he's in it to win it. This dude ain't jacking around. And we pull up this area, and I say, hey, between this dock and this dock where this grass is, there's some big fish. And the day before that, and this is a rare occasion, this never happens. I mean, never. And I throw a frog a lot. Would you agree with that? I mean, probably more than most people. I start throwing it when that water hits about 55, 56.
He throws it earlier than everybody.
I start in early to mid-February, and I don't put it down.
Ever.
Period. That was
Till about December.
Yeah, about December.
Till he goes to Lake Wells for a month.
So, I've got this guy up in the front deck, and so the day before this, I'm fishing. I throw my frog out there, and this bass blows up on it, and it's a big fish. It's not a life-changing bass, but it looks like it could be a double-digit fish. And I pull into this fish pretty hard. I mean, real hard, actually. And I got it, and it comes loose, and it breaks my dang line. 65-pound braid. So, it is what it is. It's happened to me maybe 2 times in my life that I broke 65-pound braid. So I retie, no big deal. That night I went and bought some more frogs. That next morning I'm telling these guys, hey, between that dock and this dock, I broke one off yesterday. Man, it was huge. I saw the fish all the way out of the water. I call it porpoise when they do this number right here. And the guy throws in that area, and he catches one right in the same, 40-yard stretch. And that fish weighed 8.5 pounds. And I'm pretty pumped up. We're high-fiving. This is the dude's new personal best. His biggest fish of his life. We leave this little spot, we go to this next little pocket. Okay, and this is all in the same creek arm. And I said, hey, this is another really special little spot. It's a ditch. They're spawning. It's matted up grass. We got that slime. We got some coontail, some gator grass. You see these holes in it, those are beds, okay? So this dude's firing this frog, and it's bluebird skies, it's real calm, and he's twitching it. He's making this frog real subtle. But he's not splashing, but he's making sure we don't see that red. That frog's doing this. You know, and it's turning all the way around. And man, this fish comes up and blurps on it. You know what blurps mean, right? Where they just go blurp, and he doesn't get it. So when that happens, what you want to do is you want to walk that frog out. I don't ever just reel it in. They're probably not smart enough to reason it, but in my mind, if they see that frog just go, you might have just messed up an intelligent fish. So I'll walk it out. I'll just twitch, and make them think it's scaring. And if they chase it, great. If not, same with sight fishing. A lot of times, if they don't get it, I'll swim it out real fast and try to get them to chase it. You know, and if they chase it out of that bed.
I never just ease the bait out of the bed. I snatch the bait out of the bed. Every single time I take a bait out of the bed when I'm sight fishing, I go.
Yeah, you know, that's the same thing I do.
Try to get them fish to chase it.
And that's the same thing a lot of people do. In fact, I read that when I was young. I read that. Kelly Jordan wrote an article about that. So this dude's twitching this frog, fish burps on it, he throws back out there, he gets it right in there, and it's sitting in there, and it does this, and he goes, and this fish comes out of the water. And I mean, it just goes, and it sucks this frog in, and he bows up on it, and he sets the hook really hard, and he rips this fish's head out. And her eyes are this big around. This is an easy double-digit fish, and the line breaks. Oh, cool. Wow. Surely not. And so I'm also thinking, man, that's another $9 frog. But well, I had 3 frog rods tied up that day, and I didn't make a cast that day. Well, that happens. It just happens. I put that rod down, and I give him another frog rod, and in the meantime, I re-spool that with brand new braid, because now I'm thinking, man, my braid's flawed, you know. And at the same spot, 22 boat links down the bank, we see a bass. I see this shad do this number right here. In this same area, Billy saw a 16-inch gizzard shad floating. And I had another customer that said he saw one that was about 12 to 14 inches floating. So this gizzard shad shoots out of the deal, and I see this bass come up just like this after it. I mean, she just porpoised all the way out of the water. This fish is, I don't know, this long. And that kid,
it was this long.
Dad throws his frog out there, hands the kid the rod. Kid starts twitching the frog. Frog gets right over the little open hole I'm telling you about, right? Kid gives it one little twitch. The fish comes all the way out of the water. It's not even all the way in the bed. The fish's head is, and I'm not fishing. I'm standing there looking at the frog, watching. We're all, in fact, there's 4 of us in the boat, and the only one doing anything is the kid. We're all focused on this kid about to catch his 10-pound bass. And he pops that frog, and that bass comes up all the way out of the water, and here's the frog. That bass gets about right here, and there goes that frog. And I'm like, oh no. Lord, please don't tell me this is happening. And I go, guys, don't make another cast. We'll come back in an hour or so. So we leave, and we leave that little stretch right there. And I tell him, I go, hey, I saw a bass yesterday with Jody Shelton. I said, I saw a bass yesterday that was one of the biggest I've ever seen on the bed. This fish, if this bass is here, this is going to be a 12 to, I don't even know. Its head was about this wide. And I called in, and I'm like, dude, this bass is huge. We made one pitch at her. She left. We never saw her again. We came back 2 different times, never saw her again. So I felt like if we got in there and got the frog, we could trick her into biting. And when I say trick her, it's kind of like if you walk up to somebody and I'm going to explain why, but if I go like that, they flinch. But if I go like this, they don't really flinch. You know, if somebody just does that to you, you kind of flinch. But if you see it coming, you don't have to, your reaction's not the same. I think bass are the same way. And so we get up to this fish, and it's one of those deals where you have to be like a master caster to make this cast. It's like the trees over here, grass is over here. It's just, you got a hole about this big. You got to fire that frog up through there and then work it back through. And I tell that guy, I go, hey, if that frog hits that water, that fish is out, and we will not see that fish again. And if any of you guys bed fish a lot, and you've seen these really big, giant, world-class bass on beds at Fort, a lot of times if you mess it up, you're done. Yeah, there is no second chance that day usually. And sometimes you don't get a second chance ever. Yeah. So I told these guys that, and I hope this guy's not like mad at me about telling this. Kid comes up there and kid's like, Dad, please let me catch this fish. And I'm going, oh, Lord, please. Because I know Dad can fish. Like, Dad's on his game. Well, Dad makes the cast up there for him, and it's perfect. I mean, it goes under the tree, over the grass, perfect. Line lays, he doesn't move it. And I'm like, oh man, here we go. Kid gets the frog, starts twitching the frog, gets right in the hole of the grass, and makes the frog do this. He didn't, I saw red. All it did was come forward a little bit, and the bass goes and doesn't do anything. It blurted it. And I'm talking about, we saw white, it looked like a penguin. I was like, I think you might catch a penguin. And it didn't eat the frog. And the reason it didn't eat the frog is because he went like this instead of this. The fish
That's
wasn't
the deal
threatened.
about the frog, and the what's so special about the way that you work that frog is it causes so much more of a dramatic reaction.
It's a reaction.
That
It's a pure
frog
reaction.
pops off that grass or pops over onto that bed, and then Ronnie hits it with his 1, 2, 3, and it goes, and that bass is sitting there, and when that frog pops out, the bass is looking, and it does this, and that bass just goes and jumps at it.
I don't
Just
even know if
it's
it means to at the time. I catch a lot of these fish on the lip.
Yeah.
And so,
It's such a reaction bite that you draw that just really not very many people get out of a frog. It's
yeah.
really
And
cool.
so now we've caught 8.5. We've broke one off with eyes this big around. Kids jerked a fish away from the frog away from probably an easy 10-pound fish. And now he's just got a penguin to swirl on the frog, and he didn't give it enough pop. And the fish, 100,000%, I would have caught that fish the very first cast, because I would have got that frog right in that bed and went pop, and that frog would have went like that, and that fish would have went, and it would have been over with. So I'll finish the story real quick, and I'll talk about the frog. So we leave that little spot, we pull up to another spot. I go, hey dude, throw that frog on that point. There's got to be a big one. You can see this pencil reeds. There's some grass, and there's a hole about this big around. I go, man, there's got to be a fish right there on that hole. Throws that frog over there, and he gets it right over that hole. And this bass, now I saw the whole bass. This bass was probably an 8-pound bass, 7, 8-pound bass. Comes all the way out, grabs his frog, and this dude does the old, don't ever do this. He's got a good bow in his line from a little bit of wind. He drops his rod, doesn't reel up any slack, grabs his rod right here, steps back and jerks it with everything he had and pops his line. Doesn't break it. I don't want to say break because it's not like a break. It's a pop. You know, it's kind of like if you get rope and you pull it like that, you're not going to break it. But if you get it like that and do that, you'll break it. So he breaks that fish off. We ease out of that pocket, and we're coming around a point to go to another little pocket. And I said, hey, let's throw something on this point real quick. We got a little bit of wind blowing now. So I hand the old man a chatterbait, the young kid a small smash tail, and then I hand the other guy a poacher, a weedless poacher. First cast, very first cast with this bait, this fish nails it, sets the hook. Fish comes up and jumps, and it's an 8 or 9 pounder. All right, so let's rewind. We got an 8.5. We broke the one off with silver dollar eyes. We had the kid jerk the one away from a frog, or the frog away from the big 10, 11 pound bass. He missed the penguin. The dad's broke one off, and now we just got an 8 or 9 pounder on. And we hadn't even left this creek yet. And the dadgum fish on its third jump throws the bait. I'm just going, so it's the best, worst day of my life. I think potentially we could have caught 4 double-digit. We could have potentially broke a 50-pound bag that day, but it didn't happen. But anyways,
speaking of that, interjection here. This lake it's in the best shape it's been in for big fish in a long time. I'm good, thank you, brother. I got some myself right here.
You want me to put some in your
No,
mouth?
I got some right there, bud. Thank you. I got my own in my little Your Lake Fork Guide. Lake Fork.
Oh, I thought that's not the Goat Lake deal?
It's not the Goat Lake one. We got the Goat Lake one, then we got the one that just has the Lake Fork.
I want to go
outlaw.
Lake. So back to the fish deal. It's crazy. I mean,
The Lake Fork is just
it's crazy.
what's going on out here is insane, guys. The amount of big fish that are getting caught. I mean, a guy talked to me when I came into the boat ramp today, and the guy's like, "Yeah, man, we've been fishing a few days. Yeah, we just ain't catching them. We've just been terrible for us." And he's like, caught, biggest one we've caught is a 7.5 pounder, and caught some 6 pounders and some 5 pounder. I'm going, dude, hold on just a minute. Think about what you just said. Like, if you caught a 7 and some 6s and some 5s anywhere on earth, you'd be like, this is phenomenal. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of guys on Chickamauga, which is arguably the second best lake in the country, that would pay a lot of money to have some 7s and 6s and 5s right now. This lake is insane with the spawns that we've had over the last 4 years, the mature fish that were born before the drought. Like, there's so many solid fish and then there's so many giant fish.
There's a lot of big fish.
I mean,
I've never.
We
seen
had
them
an
here.
11, a 10, and a 9 in one day sight fishing. It was like Monday or Tuesday. We were sight just me and one other customer was a Monday. Monday, me and one customer had one client that day. We had an 11, a 10, and a 9 on beds, and some 5s and some 4s. Like, where
And that
else?
Tuesday, I saw a fish that long.
Like, where else do you do this?
I don't even know.
Like,
It's so big.
literally, like, if you know kind of where to look and where to go find a little bit of clarity of water, pretty much every creek you go into on this lake has an area where you can go look at like 7 to 10 pound bass swimming around. You just go watch them. There's a 10 pounder. There's an 8 pounder. There's a 9 pounder. Like, the 10 pounder and the 9 pounder on Monday were from me to that staircase from each other. You know how I caught the 10 pounder on accident? You know how it happened? He's over there flipping the bed with a 4.5 pound male and a 9 pound female. He's done caught the male. He's over there flipping, trying to catch that female. And I just see a little bait or something. I just see a little swirl over there by a reed head. So I had a little jig tied on and I went, flip that jig over by the reed head and I went, boom, 10 pounder and a 9 pounder literally sitting 20 feet from each other on the bed.
That's crazy.
There's no other place in the country
I don't ever get that
happens.
lucky. Mine come hard earned on a frog or something.
I mean, that's just, if you think, like, really compute that and you think about people, you know, you hear these stories about, oh man, that's nothing back in whatever and whatever, or over at this other lake, da 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 da. Okay, prove it. Because this lake has proven it statistically with the fish that have gone on record. And then when you back that up with all the crazy stories that go around, it's just.
And you're hearing it from
ain't nothing like
two
it.
fishing guides. There's 60 people out here, and I don't even know what they're doing. There's no telling what they're doing.
And 2 fishing guides that fish as many other lakes as any fishing guides around here. Like, we both, and I probably do it more so than he does, but I fish like I went to another lake this week when the wind got crazy. And I had 3 guys on my boat that day, so we had 4 people in the boat, and the wind was going to blow 30 sustained, and I was like, well, that's not going to be safe.
And it did.
It would not have been safe for 4 big old boys in a bass boat. So we made the right decision, but we're fortunate and blessed in East Texas. We got all these other big lakes, and man, I watched the guy. He ended up losing the fish. He never sight fished before. They want to learn how to sight fish, and we found like a 9 to 10 pound bass on that lake. And that, you know, it's an awesome. We have a lot of awesome lakes, but there's nothing in the same category.
Not even close. And I was at Falcon for 2 months.
Yeah.
And we freaking argued before I left down the Falcon. I was at Falcon. I did 24 and 22. I did 24 trips in January and 22 trips in February, and it's not even close. It's just not.
We argued about it before you went.
Yeah, we talked about it,
but we argue a lot.
But we do argue a lot because you say a lot of dumb stuff. And I argue with people that say dumb stuff. You and my wife, y'all kind of both say dumb stuff.
Love you, Shanae.
So back to the frog deal. So I'm fishing. I'm basically fishing spawning areas. Now I'm fishing going into spawning areas. I caught one this morning. It was probably 8 something going into a spawning area, and it was on the outside bank. And basically, the later it is in the year, the further out they're going to come. Everybody understand that? The water, they're a little bit closer to deep water. So I'm starting a little further out in the mouths of the creeks, throwing that frog now. And so this fish I caught this morning was in a patch of grass about that big around. She was probably sitting behind or in front of it, either on a bed or just got off of a bed. I think she was on a bed. Her tail was bloodied up, and she still had some eggs in her. I'm throwing a pretty heavy rod. I'm throwing a 7.3 heavy fast, or actually it's extra fast, okay? And so the reason I'm throwing the extra fast is because that tip gives me the ability to twitch that frog and make that frog turn around versus, and I see a lot of people, in my opinion, make a mistake. And, you know, and I hate to say they're making a mistake. In my opinion, they're making a mistake. They'll throw a really, really heavy action rod. And that heavy action rod,
it can be done on the other ones. It's just hard. It's easier.
Yeah. And again, in my opinion, I think everything in bass fishing, you should always say your opinion because it's like religion or politics.
There's no absolutes in fishing.
There's no absolutes. But the extra fast tip with the really big backbone gives me the ability to twitch the frog, and it also gives me the ability to put the frog in spots I need it. There's a lot of buckbrush on this lake right now, and a lot of those fish are spawning in that brush, and you got to skip that frog. Which in our instance, and me especially, it makes it hard because I know that I can take off down that bank with that frog and go to town on them. But it's hard, especially if you're not running the trolling motor.
Well, one thing that you referred to, Pat, you may be about to get to this, but that having that softer tip on that frog rod, and this is a big deal when they're spawning and you're kind of dead fish with a frog, is how soft you can land it. And that's a big factor.
And you want to, that's a really big deal. And that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Is you want to be able to make a really soft, subtle presentation and allow the rings to go away. You know, who is?
Come on up, guys. We got more chairs.
Jimmy Houston used to talk about a topwater bait a lot. He would talk about as soon as it hits the water, don't move it until the rings disappear. Well, it's the same thing with that frog, because initially, and I saw it happen 2 days ago. I had a guy on the boat with me, and I was going down a bank with some reed heads, some pencil reeds, and I was about to fire away, and I pulled my frog back, and I saw this bass, probably 8 or 9 pound bass, and she was on a bed, and she didn't see us yet. She was facing that way, so I said, "Come here, come here."
Was she that skinny?
Huh?
Was she that skinny?
What do you mean?
An 8 or 9 pound bass?
There's a chair over here.
That's normal, ain't it? That's how they all are.
8 or 9. That's how they all are.
They're all that big. Anything I catch is about that big. If it ain't, somebody's lying. So we see a big old long bass, big head, and she's facing the other way. And I tell him, "Come here." I said, "Fire that frog up there." And it's bluebird skies, and it's not a lick of wind. And he throws that frog over there, and that frog hits that water, and it just goes like that. I said, "Don't move it." I'm coaching the guy, okay? We've been fishing offshore all day. We just pulled into this pocket, and we just started throwing topwater. And he throws that frog, and it hits. And she does this. She turns real slow, and swims, starts coming at it. And I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. I said, "Now twitch it." And he didn't understand what I said. And he pulled it. So she came up to it. And I'm watching this. I mean, I'm seeing it as clear as day. Now I've got the frog here and the bass right here. All she's got to do, if she opens her mouth, the suction will suck that frog all the way in her. And the mistake that this gentleman made, and again, some of these big bass, you can get one shot, is he pulled the frog. He twitched it, and every time he twitched it, he just kind of pulled it. And all she did is she followed it. She stayed. In fact, I bet those legs on that frog were probably tickling her nose. She was so close. They were neck and neck, and she followed that frog 3 foot out of that bed. And he could never get her to react to it, because he was, I guess,
now
nervous.
Fundamentally, talk to us about how do you make that frog twitch versus pull. Talk to us.
So the big deal is slack. You don't want to pull your bait. If you're feeling that frog, you're going to pull that frog. You want to keep a couple feet of slack. And what I'll tell everybody to do is I'll say pull it, and then put your rod tip back, and then start popping it. And you're going to want to walk it. And I'll have to do a video pretty soon. I've done one before, but I'll do another one and because I think it's a big deal. This year especially, kind of watching people in the boat, it's such a big deal that I think the person doing it versus the person not doing it right, it could be a 20 to nothing day. I think it's that big of a deal. It's all about having slack in the line and making sure that when you twitch that frog, it's going side to side. And if you work on it and you work on twitching that frog, and another thing that I'll do, throw this out there, is I'll take the butt of the rod and slap it against my forearm.
That's what I was
And I don't really know how much that helps, but I do that, and it stops that rod.
So you told me this several years back. It's been years ago now that you were telling me about how you pop that butt of the rod off your forearm there, off right around in here. So I tried it and I looked at it, and what I did was I looked at my rod tip. And when you take that rod and you go like this, it makes the rod tip automatically go, like the rod tip's going this way, the rod tip goes tong, and so it automatically bounces it back, and that gives it that split second of slack to make it turn.
Yeah.
Like that, I think that has a lot to do with how sharp your frog turns.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
And so my cadence will be, let it sit, then twitch, then twitch, 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 twitch.
It's just kind of random.
It's if you're, and this is the same thing with the popper bait. I fish them the exact same way. I throw one on a 7.3 heavy extra fast with 65 pound braid and a 7-speed reel. The 7-speed reels because when they bite that frog, they've only got one place to go, and that's right at you. I throw my popper on a 6.8 medium fiberglass rod with 12 pound mono with a 7-speed reel because when they bite that popper, they've only got one place to go, and that's right at you. And I do the same thing. And when you're fishing, if you'll watch, when you're in this area full of beds, you'll notice these little shad. I call them flicker shad. They're just little glass minnows. You'll notice they'll just kind of, every once in a while, you'll just see one. And if you'll pay attention and notice your surroundings, every once in a while you'll just see, and that's where that little popper comes into play. that little popper mimics those little shad. So when I get on the south end, I get real clear water instead of the frog, especially if I don't have a lot of vegetation. There's a lot of spots out here where you got pencil reeds, there's nothing around them. And there might be a pencil reed right here, but the bed's over here. And I can get them to bite that frog on the right conditions sometimes, but it's not the best application. That popper is the best application. And it allows that fish to do the same. And I fish it the exact same way.
And some of those blurpers get caught on the popper. Some of those fish that blurp your frog on that popper, they get stuck on the treble hook.
When you say that fish has got nowhere to go but right at you, I'm not quite.
So I'm throwing at the bank generally.
Yeah, because they're on bed, so they're real tight to the bank.
So and I set the hook. She's coming at me most of the time, you know. And I'm guiding, so I've got people behind me. In fact, yesterday I had about a 6-pounder hit my frog. I was throwing out the front of the boat, hit my frog, and came right at me. And I just took off running to the back of the boat and about took everybody out. You can't always do that. So at 7 I don't like 8. The only reason I don't like 8 is it doesn't have enough power and they don't hold enough line. And I might throw that frog till I can see the bottom of my spool. But those are kind of the 2 baits I wanted to talk about tonight, and I'm bed fishing. And the other thing is, the fry garters, they're going to bite that frog. And you're going to catch a lot of those fry garters that you don't normally know are there. You're not looking for them. You're bed fishing, and you see them, and you're not. Once you've seen them,
I think that's kind of when people traditionally think to start throwing the frog. Like that's when the traditional.
And they're late on it because they're not going to catch those 8, 9, 10 pounders.
They're not going to catch some big females that are up spawning. But yeah, traditionally I think people think about the frog bite as kind of being when some of the fish start getting off beds in significant numbers and start guarding fry because, I mean, a fry garter loves to eat a frog.
And when we start seeing bedding fish, there's already fish done bedding.
That's true. That's true.
And you kind of
What color frog are you throwing today? So?
Today I was throwing white monster, which is
it's sexy shad.
Yeah, but they call it nasty shad.
Nasty shad. The sprobe.
It's white it's white.
White with a yellow deal.
It's just white.
It's white with a gray back. It's got a little faint chartreuse stripe.
That doesn't matter. I don't think color's that big of a deal.
With a sunny sky, you like the lighter colors?
I just don't think it matters. I think I can catch them on black, brown, white, pink, orange, blue. I don't.
So my theory on color for frog selection is when it's a really bright day, I want a solid color, white or black, on a bright day. A lot of times black can be your best option on the brightest bluebird day, which is kind of against the norm, but I'm telling you, it works.
There's more contrast here.
More contrast, because you got to think about it like this. In a fish's world, when the sky's really bright, well, if the bass's eyes are up here, he's always looking this way, especially when he's going to eat your frog. When your frog's over his head, he's looking up. Well, he's looking dead into a glare on a bright day. So I'll throw solid colors on a bright day, white or black. Now, on a cloudy day, right, I want to throw a more natural color like cowboy, the color you call cowboy, which I don't know what that is, but it's like a silver grayish on the bottom.
Cowboy's killer gill.
Killer gill. So it's got like a green back. But it's silver on the bottom. It's got blue and purple legs. It's just a more natural color. I also throw yellow belly when it's more cloudy. And to me, the yellow belly with the green top, that imitates a brim real good. And so I tend to lean towards yellow belly a little later in the year when the brim starts spawning and you got a lot of fry garters and they're wanting to get those brim away from their fry. On a cloudy day, I'll go to the yellow belly frog is my natural color. Right now, for natural color, I would use the one that you use all the time.
I'm throwing killer. The only 2 colors I'm throwing are cowboy and white monster, which are killer gill and nasty shad.
You have to name your frogs if you want to catch them on them. That's a rule.
Cowboy's been around for a while, and then we got Old Red. Now, Old Red is more, for me, it's a brown color. That's more bluegill spawn, and then a lot of times around here, you'll start hearing the crawfish. Y'all ever hear crawfish clacking? It's like Rice Krispies.
A little faint click in the grass.
Yeah, they sound like Rice Krispies. If I start hearing Rice Krispies, and there's a tournament, you just come bring me your money. You don't even have to fish that day. I'll save you gas money. If I start hearing Rice Krispies cracking, that's Old Red, and that's the brown spro frog. And it's on, because those bass will kill though. If you start hearing Rice Krispies, and you got to be around grass to hear that, that's crawfish, and they're in that grass. And you'll see them. They'll look like the little cheap shrimp you get in your Alfredo at Olive Garden. They're little video things, and you'll start hearing them click. And the other sound, and Billy's talking about the bluegill spawn, is a little.
Especially if you're around lily pads or something, you hear them sucking a lot. Boy. Or even if you just see those bunch of moon crater beds, you know. That's when I pull that yellow one
Now,
out.
I'm going to talk about another frog, but this is a toad. The shad spawn's going down right now, and they're not all spawning on main lake points. There's a lot of them are spawning in grass. That horny toad is killer. I throw Junebug, black, something like that. That horny toad, you fire it out there, put your rod tip up. I throw a 7.6 heavy action rod, 65-pound braid, a 5/0 owner twist lock hook, and I put 3 or 4 little tape weights on it. And I don't throw a ribbit. I know a lot of people love a ribbit. I throw a horny toad. It's a confidence thing. I don't think it makes that big of a difference. It's subtle. I can make a long cast, keep my rod tip up, and just reel it through the grass. And if those shad are spawning in there, that's about as good of a bait as you can find. That and then a skinny dipper is really good. And I will throw that white frog around the shad spawn. One more. Yeah, that's
This is the, if you want.
and I'm talking about in the matted up top stuff. When you see them in there in the gator grass and stuff, flickering, it looks like shine bright like a diamond. You start seeing the diamonds glistening, lily pads, anything like that. I mean, it is hard to beat a skinny dipper or horny toad. The only time that I'll throw a glide frog, which is a regular nosed frog, is if I see shad spawn and I want to twitch that thing fast and make it do this real quick. And I can walk a popping frog, but I can make that glide frog a lot smoother. And that's a shad spawn.
What are you doing to your tail on your frog?
On nothing. You don't have to.
To get it to walk, you're not doing it. You're not cutting one shorter. Or,
No. You just don't have to. We used to all think that, but you know the tails aren't as long as they used to be either.
That's true.
They've cut the tails back, and they're all
Yeah,
you
they're
know
not 6 inches.
they're not 6 inches long. Yeah.
I trim one a little bit shorter than the other, and that's just strictly old habits.
Yeah.
I've
Don't-
forgotten to, and you throw it out there and it walks just as
You
good.
got to bend the hooks out.
The hook spinning out's a big deal.
The hooks right here. You grab it like this with your pliers,
Yeah.
and you just turn it out.
Yeah, you
on
bend
both
it this
of them.
way, not you don't bend the hook up. You bend it out away from the
These
body.
are the hook points right here. You grab this hook point with your pliers and you pull it out.
and you
So
just
that hook
want
goes- that hook
an
goes.
ever so slight
Just a little
gap.
bit.
Just a
Yeah,
little bit.
You don't want them sticking way out.
Yeah.
Just ever so slight of a gap, but that will help your lost fish ratio improve. Because frogs kind of notorious for fish getting off or missing your bait or whatever. But bending those hooks out will
Is a must.
It will
I think
help
it's a
your-
must.
Try
It'll
that
help you
new
win.
one they got with like a ponytail hanging off the end of it, or
They're calling that. There's a Spro's actually has one that you may have confused some people. He said glide frog earlier. He just meant the traditional pointy nosed frog.
Like a Bobby's
They
Perfect
actually
frog.
have one now that they call a glide frog, and it's got 2 legs, but they're on top of each other.
well, this the one I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I
You see,
understand.
it's got like a little ponytail looking deal off the back of it.
Oh, that's something he would love. little fairy
With the
frog.
spider monkey.
Little fairy frog.
Very frog. Go with your monkey.
He'd be out there throwing it on a spinning pole.
Get that and the monkey hooked up. Give me has something.
Man, I hope that helps somebody catch a big one. We've caught a lot. I've probably 20-something fish over 8 pounds this spring so far on a frog. A lot of big fish.
You throw the junior, that.
It does matter. If you throw the junior, you goofy as a run over duck. You got to throw the regular frog. I mean, I don't see a point in throwing it. Somebody called me the other day and said, "Man, I can catch him on that junior frog," and I'm like, "Man, come on." The reason I don't throw the junior frog is because I want the big hooks. And there might be a time where it matters. I haven't found it, and I would love for somebody to get in my boat one time in my life and show me that smaller frog will catch them better. In fact, we'll call it the Pepsi Challenge. I'll take that challenge every day of the week. I just haven't seen it.
Yeah, I only have
Somebody
one.
was telling me the other day. Oh, it was Todd Anderson. Todd Anderson, you're full of it. But he did catch like a 10-pounder on it, that baby frog.
He would have caught the same fish on a regular.
Yeah, it would have been bigger.
I mean, I don't think fish carry rulers in their pockets. So
They don't.
I'm pretty sure.
So, man, I hope that helps somebody catch one. Anybody got any questions? I've got to go. My son's got a baseball game. And this sucker right here stinks, so I can't get away from him.
Yeah.
Smell like
that's
success.
That's your hands from that catfish bait. That's what that is that you're smelling. Yeah, yeah.
So, man, I appreciate everybody coming out. Check me out on Instagram. Captain Ron Guide Service on Facebook page. I appreciate it, brother. Man.
Thank you for
Take
doing
it
it,
from
buddy.
here, dude.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
All right, see you guys.
I'm glad that was such a half-hearted round of applause because that's all that knucklehead deserves. No, in all seriousness, man, I can't thank Ronnie enough. He does a great job. He's That boy's been fishing and paid his bills
Yeah.
fishing longer than most people have ever dreamed of, and he's got a lot of. It's kind of spun out and goofy sometimes, but there's a whole lot of there when he gets to doing it. So, really appreciate him coming and doing these for us. We did a big long discussion last week with Zach Hughes.